Leinster v La Rochelle. 5 takeaways as banger of an occasion, produces harum scarum moments and an epic finish. The top line. Leinster's drive towards a 5th Champions Cup title continues after a terrific victory at the death over fierce rivals La Rochelle in a Dublin classic. Buoyed by the raucous atmosphere they walked out to, Leo Cullen's side stepped on the accelerator from the moment referee Matthew Carley had his arm out signaling a penalty advantage 30 seconds in. Tommy O'Brien blitzed his way through the cover, an attack that ended with Josh Kenny nearly getting in at the corner. It was a warning that La Rochelle didn't heed, as the same duo were pivotally involved again a couple of minutes later, this time with Kenny having enough space to make it to the line for the opening score. Kenny was celebrating once more in the 9th minute, feasting on the loose ball that stemmed from Rico Ione charging down an Ihea West clearance kick. A yellow card to O'Brien for a deliberate knock-on and a game-ending injury to Kieran Frawley hinted at a La Rochelle response, but it was Leinster who instead were momentarily celebrating on 17 minutes in the mistaken belief Dan Sheehan had scored. A knock-on was the verdict. 12 minutes later, La Rochelle did get on the board, David Niniashvili diving in at the corner and Nolan Legaric expertly converting from the touchline to cut the 12-point gap to 5. Despite the carding of Joe McCarthy, that was how it stayed for the remainder of the half, and it continued that way until the 55th minute of the second, mainly due to Rideau Wardy's hands letting him down with the Leinster line at his mercy. It was a straightforward Legaric penalty kick that cut the deficit to 2 points, and the scrum half then added the extras to West's try to secure a 17-12 lead with just over 20 minutes remaining. It was a straightforward Legaric penalty kick that cut the deficit to 2 points, and the scrum half then added the extras to West's try to secure a 17-12 lead with just over 20 minutes remaining. What a potboiler this had now become, and it got even better with the electric run that Josh Van Der Flyer produced for his score-leveling, unconverted try on 67 minutes. Less than 3 minutes later, Robbie Henshaw was celebrating in the same corner to give Leinster a 22-17 lead, and their 4-try bonus point, after another well-timed Jack Conan assist. However, the decisive twist was yet to happen, and it wasn't West racing in and Legaric converting for a 24-22 La Rochelle lead. Instead, the win-sealing score was down the other end, a clock-in-the-red penalty that sub-Harry Byan landed. Epic match, epic finish. Vibrant reminder of what Champions Cup is. The Champions Cup has had its reputation sorely dented in recent years by the negativity surrounding the current format, caused by the dilution of the quality produced in the pool stages. Whereas before, teams needed to win a minimum of 4 from 6 matches to bag one of the elusive 8 quarterfinal spots, that pressure has been alleviated by the daft situation, where 16 of the 24 teams now progress to a round of 16. There are undeniably too many teams now involved in the tournament, but this Dublin dust-up was genuine nourishment for a lapsed soul on this season's road to Bilbao. A bumper crowd, a thumping atmosphere, a visiting team that came to fight literally, as was witnessed in 2 outbreaks of first-half handbags. It added up to a banger of an occasion where the atmosphere was lit and the mood of those in attendance, including a visible contingent from France, ebbed and flowed depending on whichever way the action unfolded. For instance, the eruption of noise that greeted Wardy's handling mishap was huge, and then came the denouement, that deafening celebration of the decisive buy-in kick. All in all, it was a vibrant reminder that this tournament can still warm the heart in the European winter, despite its bloated, unwieldy format. Let's talk about Sam. Leinster had reeled off 7 wins in a row coming into this, but no one in their right mind would have dared to argue that they were back on song, back on top of their game the way we know them. They had lurched from one game to the next through the winter, performing in fits and starts and fueling concerns about their leading players, leaving Ireland boss Andy Farrell anxious with the countdown firmly on towards the start of the 2026 Six Nations. 26 days out from the championship opener away to France, Irish fans will still be left split about the claim Sam Prendergast has on the No-10 Test shirt after this Champions Cup match. Allow him to attack and he will flourish, as was seen in the way Leinster negotiated the opening part of this game with a lung-bursting start. His kick into space that lit the fuse for the try-creating ion block was a rich example of someone at ease playing with his head up, as was his pop pass in the move for the second half Van der Flyer try. Prendergast, though, was also at the core of the La Rochelle riposte. Criticism about the ineffectiveness of his tackling is nothing new, but there were too many harum-scarum moments here. Look at how he was left for dead when the visitors carried hard from their 22 midway through the opening half. Then see how he was too easily rounded by Anton Haste in the creation of the Naney Ashvili score. The second half also began with him failing to lay a finger on the galloping Levani Boscia, which nearly cost a try. He did get an ankle-tap tackle on Will Skelton to delay the West score on 59 minutes, but he was well beaten when West leveled it up at 22-all. Jamison Gibson Park also felt the pressure defensively, with missed tackles also mounting up on his watch. Yes, Leinster ultimately won, but is Prendergast/Gibson Park the partnership to give Ireland the defensive security they will need at Stade de France on February 5? You couldn't bet the house on Prendergast starting, so the defensive risk versus attacking reward debate in the run-up will be intriguing. Looking elsewhere, Farrell will be thrilled by the work rate of the Leinster back row, the chutzpah of McCarthy, the frequent involvement of Henshaw and the unhindered running of O'Brien. Sheehan, though, had another clunky night. Dublin return of Cartrick Carley. It's getting tedious having to reference referees in these takeaway summations from matches this winter, but there was no way that man-in-charge Carley could go unnoticed here. It was 49 days ago when he previously ran out at Aviva Stadium, unleashing a 1 red 4 yellow card trick on a bemused and outscrummed Ireland versus South Africa. He was in the crosshairs again here, with Leinster reaching the break having conceded 10 penalties to 4 and also giving up 2 yellow cards. Thing is, however, you couldn't get angsty with the ref for this level of repeat infringement, as indiscipline has been a hallmark of Leinster's stuttering season. Last weekend in the United Rugby Championship, they ended the first half 2 points up despite the concession of 11 penalties to 4 versus Connacht. An enforced ref change at the break helped to rectify that situation, and they went on to become runaway winners, but the hale and hearty Carley returned here for the second half. With it, though, came a visibly huge improvement from Leinster in their discipline, and home fans were ultimately left delighted by the ref's final decision, the penalizing of an off-feet tackle from Louis Penvern to allow Bayern his kick to win. Whatever the Leinster supporters had negatively said before about Carley was now suddenly forgotten. The ref got the major decision correct at the very end. The imports. The kryptonite that is gigantic Loch Skelton, whenever he plays Leinster, was to the fore for La Rochelle, exhibiting why clubs spend the biggest bucks on the biggest signings. The Australian has an enviable CV in this tournament, helping Saracens and La Rochelle to Champions Cup glory against Leinster, and he was great value again in Dublin on Saturday night, breathing fire into a French side that had been brittle on the road this season, winning just once in 7 before arriving in Ireland. He blasted his way through 68 minutes here, but was looking on from the sideline with the result going down to the wire. Was he missed in the final salvos? For sure, he was. He really needed to be an 80-minute presence in this type of inches battle. Also missed was the similarly replaced Boscia. Having stalked Leinster all evening, the Fijian menace who another absent at the finish and it was costly. In contrast, Leinster's current biggest import, All Blacks midfielder Ione, was around for the duration, and he produced his best effort yet, even if he is still a good few notches below his very, very best. His try-creating charge down was invaluable in a match where the teams were split by just a single point at the finish, so he deserves kudos for that, but his involvement still isn't what it can and should be. Wrapping things up, La Rochelle midfielder Simon Donavuku merits great praise for his brash display, as does inexperienced Leinster loosehead Jerry Cahill, who arrived on 2 minutes into the second half for the biggest match of his life. He blasted his way through 68 minutes here, but was looking on from the sideline with the result going down to the wire. Was he missed in the final salvos? For sure, he was. He really needed to be an 80-minute presence in this type of inches battle. Also missed was the similarly replaced Boscia. Having stalked Leinster all evening, the Fijian menace who another absent at the finish, and it was costly. In contrast, Leinster's current biggest import, All Blacks midfielder Ione, was around for the duration, and he produced his best effort yet, even if he is still a good few notches below his very, very best. His try-creating charge down was invaluable in a match where the teams were split by just a single point at the finish, so he deserves kudos for that, but his involvement still isn't what it can and should be. Wrapping things up, La Rochelle midfielder Simon Donavuku merits great praise for his brash display, as does inexperienced Leinster loosehead Jerry Cahill, who arrived on 2 minutes into the second half for the biggest match of his life. Well played, both youngsters. Their impacts were enthusing to see.